And our main man, Tim Donaghey, joins the show.
Yeah.
Without further ado, Tim, how you doing, brother?
How you doing?
I'm doing terrific. Good morning, guys.
Man, thanks for joining us, brother. Thanks for joining us. It's great to have you 24 hours or less after all this shit's gone on, huh?
Crazy. Absolutely craziness.
Hey, I got a couple questions that just I want to know. I got a broad one for you right out the gate. How is Adam Silver still employed as the NBA commissioner today?
You know, that's funny you said that, because when the scandal went down with me, my attorney said there's no way David Stern maintains his job as the commissioner. But, you know, deep down, he ran that whole investigation. People don't realize that he really was pulling the strings with the whole thing. And the guy that was the head prosecutor for the Eastern District of New York, Greg Andres, actually left and took a job as at a law firm and took on all the outside legal counsel work for the NBA. So that they're very powerful in the position that they have. And Mark Cuban told me that they would never lose their jobs as the commissioner.
Wow.
And then it's funny that Mark Cuban teams up with Trump yesterday, and they're going to do some things in the pharmaceutical space. My brother's in the Air Force. He's in the pharmaceutical space. He was a pilot for 25 years. It's all coming together. It's kind of weird. Here's why I want to break this down in chronological order. Sham Smitty goes on yesterday on ESPN and says he heard about this the night before.
Right.
Okay, now just hear me out. The night before that, Adam Silver was on Pat McAfee's show and brought up gambling and how we got to get it under control, Tim, and all this shit. And I'm sitting there, and then yesterday this breaks. So obviously all of them knew it was coming down the pike here. 100%. And then boom, this happens, and 31 other people get arrested, and apparently another 35 are supposed to turn themselves in today. That's what I'm reading. I'm trying to figure out, is this how it goes? Like everyone found out about it, and Shams got it and didn't want to break it until today because they told him shut the hell up. And then why did Adam Silver go on McAfee, a show that has 50,000 people live watching it? I'm confused.
I'm confused too, but the NBA is always one step ahead of everybody else. They always are, calculating every move. And even in my case back then, they weren't supposed to release anything to anybody. And I was going to, do different things with cooperation. And they leaked the story to the New York Post, and everybody knew not to talk to me. I think this is a situation where when you get involved with the feds, they have the ability to scare the daylights out of you, tell you you're going to jail for 20 years. You end up cooperating. I think all these guys that are in this pot are going to end up cooperating. This is the tip of the iceberg, and this thing is going to be bigger than anyone ever imagined.
And I'm glad you just used that phrase, the tip of the iceberg. I think in another interview recently, you had mentioned that as well. Kind of dive deeper into that. When you say it's the tip of the iceberg, like exactly how big do you see this thing going? Do you think there's other like some NBA stars involved? Are there execs, coaches? Like how big do you think this thing gets?
Absolutely. All the above. I think there's no doubt that, from the trainers to the players to the coaches, there's a lot of people involved. And, some people, they're involved because of, addiction issues and getting in too big with bookies. And, with the rules sometimes don't apply to people with power and money. And you think that, you're not going to get caught and you're just doing this and things are going to sail through. And, you always end up getting caught like I did. And, you're cocky and you think that you're going to get away with something like this and you don't. And then boom, you're in the pot and everyone's trying to save their own ass. And that's what it comes down to with this. And, I think you're going to see widespread big name people are involved in this unless the NBA is able to cover this up, because I actually got a text message from an FBI agent yesterday and said, hey, Tim, it doesn't look like they're going to be able to sweep this under the rug like they did with your case. So we'll see what happens, but I'm thinking this is a much bigger than anyone can imagine.
Do you think? Here's what I got to ask: like, is this something so big that you can see possibly a class action from the betting side? So let's just say Smitty and I have been betting on real NBA games, and we got fucked because we found out that they rigged it. Is there a class action lawsuit in the loom of this? Because I got good lawyers right now because I'm in a situation like yours, dealing with another case, and they were like, "Hey,
100%. Think about it. You're a gambler. You're a professional gambler. You've lost, hundreds of thousands of dollars because you went the way against these people that we're basically fixing the games. Absolutely. Are you going to sit back and take that? Hell no. You're going to bond together with somebody. There's going to be an attorney that's want to be all over this to get his name out there. And they're going to go after the league. They're going to go after the players. They're going to go after everybody. And, do you blame them? Gambling is not legal, right? So you're not doing anything wrong. You thinking you're betting on an event that is, being played on the up and up and even field, and it's not. So absolutely a class action.
Who's gonna pay that? Is that NBA? Is that DraftKings, FanDuel? Who?
I think it comes out from the NBA. I think it comes from the individual players. I think they're all going to be named in the lawsuit, just like any lawsuit, and they're going to see, who gets caught up in it and who bails out quickly. So I don't think there's any doubt class action lawsuits coming down the road.
That's probably why we lost so many parlays, JB. Go ahead.
That's why I've been losing. The second part of that question, Tim, let me ask you.
It's not because you picked the wrong team and don't know what the hell you're doing.
Right. It couldn't be that, Tim.
Not at all. Not at all. I'm getting fucked, Tim. That's what's Hey, let me ask you, is there a possibility if that happened that there would be scabs because the NBA is going to be flipped upside down and we're going to be playing fucking replacement players from the G League?
I don't know that it's that widespread, but I think there's definitely going to be a lot of people that are going to be caught up in this in many different ways. And when you sit down with the feds and you cooperate, you got to tell them everything that you know about everybody. So it may spill over into something else other than gambling. People may be involved in other things that they're going to tell on people for. So it's at this point, it's when the feds are telling you you're going to jail for 20 years and you got a family, you're going to tell them, everything to try to minimize that. And, you want to label people a rat for that, so be it. But unless you sit in that seat, you don't know the feeling of it.
That's no doubt. Let me ask you this, Tim. So Chauncey Billups, the reports are saying that he was allegedly connected to the Mafia. I know in your case, I know you were, involved with the mob and stuff as well. My question is this, how does somebody like Chauncey Billups, who made over $100 million in his NBA career in totality, how does he even get connected to the Mafia? How does that, are they approaching him? Are they running into him at an event? I'm just trying to, my brain can't even connect how that happens.
It's just a situation where you're running in circles with the wrong people who are, connected to the wrong guys, and you end up getting in a situation with them, and somehow they befriend you, and maybe they have something on you that you don't want out, or they're trying to blackmail you for some other reason. There's always a way that the mob can get their claws into you, and when they do, it's very difficult to get out. And you have something that they want, and that's information and the ability to make millions of dollars off of these plays. So yeah, the mob is not somebody to play with and get involved with, but when they get their claws into you, it's very difficult to get away from them.
And let me ask you, is it we're talking the mob? To me, I don't know if it's the same mob as it was when we were young, but right. What kind of depth was he involved in? Because to me, if he must have fulfilled his obligation, or I think he'd be buried somewhere if that's the case. You know what I'm saying? If he didn't fulfill the obligation, I've heard a couple rumors from a couple people I know in the NBA that said to me last night that he met the wrong person in Detroit. They kind of had him by the short hairs, forced him to do a few things, and he can never get out. And that's where he's been this whole time. And he's kind of been doing these odd ins and outs. Yeah.
That's a long time, man. He's been doing.
Yeah, that's where you think about it, Detroit over at fucking Denver. If we're going to talk about where he met somebody.
Yeah.
Right. And in my situation, I thought that I was going to give the mob these picks for 3 months and it was going to be over with. That's when they, picked me up at the hotel in Philadelphia and threatened me and did all that stuff. And I told this to the FBI agent, and they said, you're foolish to believe that. They were never going to release you. You were always going to be in their claws, and you were going to do what they said. And if not, they would end up killing you. So, for you to think that it was going to be 3 months and be out, that's foolish thinking. They would never let you, out of their class. They were making millions and millions of dollars off what you were telling them. And they were never going to let you go.
Damn. Let me ask you, because back to Adam Silver real quick. I don't see how he can't profit off of gambling. How he couldn't. He had to have profited.
He can't hear you, JB.
Huh? I can hear you now.
JB, he can't hear you for some reason.
It's because of you.
I didn't do anything.
I know. Every time you go in and out, though, for some reason.
I didn't take myself out.
I can see.
You can see JB. You can't hear. That's so weird. I don't understand that.
I can hear you.
Smitty, tell him to refresh.
You might have to refresh again, unfortunately.
All right, here we
I'm
go.
sorry about that. Yeah, that's weird. Yeah, just keep me in. My camera does that. Y'all know the camera does it sometimes. It always refocuses.
Yeah, I don't know why. Whenever you come in, remember Shaun does it too.
Yeah, that's like a new glitch or something going on.
All right,
he's
bring it
back though. He's back in. Go ahead, JB.
You hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, appreciate you. Let me ask you, how you can't tell me he didn't profit off of gambling, and then suddenly now he goes on McAfee plays the victim. When this all blows back on you, you're playing the victim, is what it seems like from Adam Silver's side. Like, I don't understand. You can't tell me he didn't profit from something.
I mean, Adam Silver's profiting from the fact that, he's in bed with FanDuel and DraftKings, and, they're eventually going to be in a situation where they're going to be the bank, and people are going to be courtside placing bets from a little thing connected to the seat. So it's just was baby steps at this point, but I'm sure this has put a little bit of a wrench in it because they haven't realized that, people are going to get addicted to this, make bad decisions, and be in a situation where it's going to be difficult for the league to get out of it and hurt the league, because we all know NFL, baseball, basketball, it's so big because of gambling. People love to sit there and watch it and gamble, and that's why it exploded to where it is today.
Let me ask you this. So allegedly, Damon Jones, they said he texts a unnamed co-conspirator that a Los Angeles Lakers player, LeBron James, would not play against the Bucks back in like February 9th, 2023, and told some people to like bet big on the Bucks. Let me ask you this: like, how early and are you guys finding out about these players not playing during games or being before? Because this guy, obviously LeBron was not on the injury report yet,
right?
And that's the way. So like, when you're in the NBA, whether you're a ref, player, whatever, how soon are you guys finding that out? Number one, and then number two, in your opinion, how often do you think these type of situations are happening where guys are telling their friends or homeboys, "Hey, y'all, so and so Steph is out tonight. I would go bet big on so and so."
I think it happens more than you would even imagine, to be honest with you. And what happens is, as a referee, you're at the arena an hour and a half before the game. Mm-hmm. You just start to get comfortable, get dressed, stretch. A trainer will come into the locker room and just say to you, "Does anybody need anything? Is everything all right?" And then start discussing players. Is anybody injured? Is anybody not playing tonight? So about an hour and a half before the game, you'll get information of, last minute players that aren't going to play. And, there's plenty of time for you to just pick up your phone and text a buddy or, say, "I got to use the bathroom," and whisper in the bathroom. I mean, I did it, so yeah. I'm not going to sit here and act like I didn't. And, I told people, and, it's big information. It's big, for people in the gambling world to have that type of information, especially when it's somebody like LeBron James, who's, going to have 25 and 10 every night.
Do you think a lot of refs, like, again, I'm not, I don't know if you still talking to them or have any connection, but do you think there's still some refs today that are involved in betting, if you had to guess?
I'm not sure that, a ref would do that based on my situation and how they know that, basically, really was something that cost me my freedom, cost me my job, cost me my family. Yeah. But, I just think a lot of these players are hanging out with the wrong people, the wrong crowds. They've made it, and a lot of their friends and family hasn't. And, they're passing along little bits of information that, are valuable when you talk about placing a bet. If, the line's 4 or 5 and without a certain player, should be 7, 8, or 9. So that's extremely valuable information. And, you're going to put couple $1,000 in a buddy's pocket, you're going to be their buddy for life.
Let me ask you something. This rule passed. College players now can bet on pro sports.
Oh, yeah.
And it's very ironic that this all happened prior to this coming out. Where do you tie this into? Do you see something that we would not know as a casual fan, better, ex-coach, player? Like, is this something bigger than what we kind of see? Or do you see that now this may be shut down too?
I would hope it would be shut down, but I think there's no doubt that we're going to see a major scandal at the college level, because think about it. some of these Division I players, Division I AA players are never going to make it to the NFL or to the major leagues. And, somebody's going to come to them and say, hey, listen, you're favored by 15 tonight. Just win by 10, 11, or 12. Here's 50 grand, and you're going to do that a couple times because you're leaving school. And what do you have for your 4 years of playing for, university, and, you're moving on with your life, and you have a family and kids, and I think that's going to pop out pretty soon, that you're going to hear somebody like that has taken some bribe money, and in their mind, they don't feel like they're doing anything wrong because they're not throwing a game. They're just not winning, and covering the spread.
Let me ask something, Smitty, real quick. Let me ask you this. Damon Jones, Chauncey Billups, Terry Rozier, what's the difference between these three? Chauncey's coaching, but obviously he's been involved in this thing, it seems like, for a while. Damon Jones did something. He was on our show, actually. He did something prior as a coach, apparently, dealing with players and letting people know these guys aren't playing as he transitioned from player to coach. And then Terry Rozier, now, people are tying him back to Patino. So, what's going on with all these three? Are they all in together, or are they all separate type of cases when it comes to the FBI?
I think it's separate cases. I think Rozier's in the most trouble because he's somebody that, basically fixed the bet, right? You say they're betting, on the amount of points that he's going to score, and he's pulling himself out of the game knowing that he's not going to go over the amount. So they bet the under and, basically won. So he basically fixed that bet. The other guys are just kind of committing wire fraud like I did and passed inside information over state lines. So I think they're all going to get charged. They're all going to start cooperating, and you're going to get things that you never imagined come out of what goes on in the NBA.
Can you see Chauncey? My bad. Sorry. Can you see Chauncey Billups' Hall of Fame card being pulled?
Ooh. That's a good question. I'm not sure. They put Dick Bavetta, an NBA referee, into the Hall of Fame, who do so many things on the floor in regard to manipulating games for the NBA, and they put him into Hall of Fame. So I'm not sure what the criteria is for some of this stuff, but I'm kind of shocked that some of these guys are in the Hall of Fame.
I read into it, and I know Colin Cowherd did something on it. You can pull his card, Smitty, out of the Hall of Fame. Really? So they can take him out of the Hall of Fame if something this egregious happens. I'm curious because this is why. If he's banned from every NBA arena, which he would be, right? Is that true, Tim? And he would be banned basically if this comes down. So you're banned from every NBA affiliation, Smitty. That they would have to pull you out of the Hall of Fame as well.
So my only, pushback or question or whatever against that is that with Chauncey specifically, as the information that we have right now, he was doing poker, illegal underground poker, and he was getting his rich friends to come over and basically was scheming his friends. To me, that's a bad moral situation. He has these X-ray glasses and X-ray tables and all this type of stuff, but I haven't heard anything about Chauncey betting on the actual the NBA games itself.
No,
Think about that though. If he's doing that to his buddies, right, with the poker games, he's also giving those mob guys that he was involved with tips, right, of what's going on that night in the game. There's no doubt in my mind that he was in deep, and maybe he was doing stuff like Pete Rose was doing with the lineups. So. They didn't cover a spread or whatever it is. But, Chauncey's in a lot of trouble. And even if he's not in trouble, somebody's going to put a bullet in his head for doing, they took tens of millions of dollars from people. Yeah, Smitty, since yesterday, though, they got him on some Portland Trailblazers versus Bulls shit as he was a head coach. So if that's the case, though, if he's giving lineup information out, like Tim just said, he's cooked. And now you're talking. So in theory, Tim, these guys are facing what? I think maximum is 20 years, maximum. But it's really going to – I doubt they do that, right? Obviously, they'll – Sure. It comes down to – there's a calculation that they use, and it's based on how much money was involved. I was lucky that mine didn't calculate too high. I was a first-time offender. They take that into consideration. So, I would think they're going to do anywhere from 3 to 5 years, because this is something that they're going to want to send a message, and they're going to want to send a message out, really hard to make sure that, nobody else does this, and the league's going to have a mess to clean up.
Let me ask you this: speaking on the league, if you were working with Adam Silver and these top like NBA execs, I guess like what would you recommend they do in order to like, I guess, help like make sure this situation doesn't happen again, or at least try to limit the chances that this type of scandal could happen with the league again?
Great question. Education. I mean, when I was there, nobody came in and talked to us about gambling. Nobody said, be careful who you hang out with and who you're talking to. I think that you need to educate these people and beat it into their head. This is not a game. You do this, you're going to lose your job, you're going to lose your freedom, and you're going to be done. And there's no going to be coming back from it. So you really have to stress the fact that, you're going to cross that line. You may get away with it for a period of time, but you're going to get caught and you're going to get the book thrown at you.
Yeah, no doubt. I got to ask you, let me ask you this real quick. Is there any, I don't know, you're seeing it all over the internet the last 2 days. Scott Foster, is he in any hot water as some speculate in this deal?
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't spoken to him in quite some time. Back in the day, we all liked to gamble. When they did the investigation, 56 out of 58 referees, admitted to gambling. So, I don't know. I sure hope not. I think he's probably a little bit smarter than that. But, I didn't expect this to be as big as it is right now. And I do expect it to get a lot bigger.
What's your take on Brian Windhorst, who came out and basically said he accuses the NBA, and he's on ESPN, and they took the ESPN bet logo off their site, and crazy shit happened yesterday. But what happened when Brian came out and accused the NBA of secretly benching Terry Rozier during this whole scandal? I don't know if you've got to hear this or not, but it was big news yesterday. He came out and said basically he thinks Adam Silver secretly benched Rozier.
That wouldn't surprise me because this has been going on for many years, this investigation. And, the NBA came out and said they investigated it and there was nothing there, which we all know right now is bullshit. It doesn't surprise me one bit. Anything that, the NBA does is doesn't surprise me because I've seen it all over the years.
No doubt. Last thing I got, Smitty, I don't know what you got.
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah.
I just want to ask Scott, Tim, what he thinks on the NFL. You think they're next? Like they have to have something in the closet hiding as well, no?
Absolutely. I mean, when you talk about gambling, as athletes and former athletes and somebody that's, in the inside in these locker rooms and you find out that, Shaquan Barkley or Jalen Hurts isn't playing with a hip or a knee injury and it's not released yet. You're texting or calling your buddy and you're telling them. So I think it goes on everywhere in every sport, and it's going to be tough to put a lid on it, but somehow, some way, it's got to stop.
This is my last question. It has nothing to do with this case, but just take me back when you were, still refereeing and you were going through all this right now. Were there any championships that were won during your era where whether it was you involved or other referees involved, where like during the NBA finals, they were betting and they were doing different things to help one team over the other to where we should look at with like an asterisk next to it?
No doubt. I don't know if you remember 2002, Sacramento and LA in the conference finals, the famous game 6 in LA where Dick Bavetta, Bob Delaney and Ted Bernhardt officiated that game. It was the worst officiated game in the history of sports. And Dick Bavetta always said, he was put on game 6s to force game 7s because that was good for the league, right? It created a more revenue stream, more excitement. And then they went into Sacramento. Sacramento ends up losing game 7, and LA goes on to win the finals. And Sacramento had the best team in the league, should have won that game 6 in LA, but basically Bavetta gave every call he could to the Lakers. And, it's a situation where, Sacramento should have been the champions in 2002, and they weren't because of that game 6.
So you're saying the Lakers three-peat was a fluke?
Absolutely. And you really talk to anybody in Sacramento and some people in LA, even the coach of LA at the time had discussed it and, said that they got the benefit of every call. So, yeah, it's just was a matter of, Bavetta going in there and openly saying it. He was put on game 6s to force game 7s, and they kind of thought Sacramento wouldn't lose a game 7 in Sacramento at home. and they end up losing, and the Lakers go on and win the championship that year. And Sacramento was clearly the best team and should have had a ring on the finger.
Yeah, that was a big shot. Bob shot. That was a tough one. Let me ask you this: LeBron situation. Is there any way you can see him something happening here, or is he so big? Because we've heard rumors come out yesterday that he kind of people have come out on podcasts. Teague and Jeff Teague and all these guys are like, man, you say something about LeBron and you get a phone call from his team to shut the hell up. Obviously, Stephen A. and him got into a beef. All this other stuff. Do you see him being involved in this, or is this he's so big he'll never get touched?
I think he's so big. You look at the Ohtani situation. If somebody really believes that Ohtani didn't know, I was betting on those games. Come on, I got a bridge to sell you in Brooklyn. So
you think Ohtani knew?
Absolutely, Ohtani knew. No doubt in my mind. No doubt in my mind.
I was gonna just ask you that too, Tim, because they start tonight and it's all like tied. How coincidental all this shit.
Speak English, Tim.
Shit. Yeah, he can.
Yeah, he knows money though.
Yeah.
He knows how to bet.
Hey Tim, Dodgers -8. Like he'll know the betting. -700. That motherfucker knows that.
Right. Absolutely.
Hey,
over 7 runs.
Yeah, he knows the fucking line tonight. He knows the line. It's crazy. Hey, he was horrible, Tim. I kept betting him to hit a home run for like 4 fucking straight days. And then he hits fucking 3 the day I don't pick him. He hits 3 home runs and strikes out 10 on the mound. I'm like, come on.
He was doing a build-up, homie. You know what he was doing.
Tim, what do you got going nowadays, man? Just hanging low?
Hanging low, just involved in a lot of real estate, land development, hanging out with my daughter. So, I'm blessed that I was able to recover from making some poor choices and big mistakes. And, I'm not here to judge anybody, but I sure hope that these guys, make some better choices in the future.
Man, no doubt. I can't thank you enough, brother, to come in here and giving us this the day after this all goes down. And hopefully we can have you on again, man. Appreciate everything. Stay safe out there and appreciate it again.
You got it, buddy. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Oh, bring Tim back in real quick. Tim. Hey, I got a question for you, man. I forgot to ask my celebrity that asked me this question, a personal friend of mine. He said, you got to ask Tim this question, and I totally fucked it up. Michael Jordan. All right, so when he left the NBA and went, some question to the Major League Baseball or to the minor leagues or whatever, and then to Major League Baseball, was there conspiracies out there that he got caught up and they tried to cover this up by just shipping him off to baseball?
I definitely believe so. I think it was no, doubt that he was in kind of deep with the gambling. I think, there were rumors that, he was passing information along to guys that he was golfing with. I know there was a story out there that, he played 36 holes of golf and lost a bunch of money to a guy and told the guy that, he was going to score over 40 points that night and blow out the team. And that guy took that information and made a couple $100,000 betting. So I think that, no doubt that he was involved in passing information along to other people he was involved with.
See, me, I like that form of betting. If I tell you, hey, I'm about to drop 50 tonight, we about to beat their ass. To me, like that's a cool, like I'm benefiting my team by doing that. Now,
right, but Rozier went out and went below what they thought he was going to do. So he was supposed to score 15. He said he was hurt when he had 9, and that's how they were. That's the thing. That,
I don't like that. Right, exactly.
Right. That's where he's in big trouble because he's basically fixing the game.
That's different. Yeah.
And that's like to the masses, where Jordan was a private situation where the people he lost to, he said, I'll make your money back like this.
Right.
Like that doesn't, that doesn't affect a bunch of DraftKings fan duelers that are about to class action lawsuit to NBA because they lost money on these games. Like, especially the 23 game apparently that's out there, Tim, about it's the LeBron thing. Damon Jones basically saying, listen, he ain't playing tonight against the Bucks. Nobody else knows to put your money on the Bucks, and the Bucks won that game. So that's the big one that's out there right now. Is that something that they're going to use in this court? I'm hearing this is a 6 or 12 month battle in court, possibly, which will probably put Chauncey Billups out the league, right?
Oh, no doubt. But basically, that is wire fraud. Wire fraud is such a broad law that they really can hit you with wire fraud for so many different things. And basically that's what I was hit with, because I was passing inside information like Jones did over state lines. Okay. So that's what they're going to hit him with. And, it's illegal and it's wrong. It's inside information and it wasn't released to the public, and people took advantage of it. So it's a situation where, I think Rozier's in the most trouble because he basically fixed a bet. And I think, Billups, if he doesn't end up in jail for a long time, he's going to wish he was in jail, because, he's probably going to have a lot of people coming after him from what he did with them in those poker games.
My last question real quick, because I think like there has to be like a thin line between, so like let's say I'm an NBA player and like I'm just real close with my family, my cousins, whatever, and like I'm not purposely trying to give them inside information. We're just having a conversation, and I'm like, man, like my knee has just been killing me lately. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to play this next game. Like I'm just having a normal conversation, not knowing that he or she is going to use that information to go gamble. Can I still get in trouble for that? Like, are you allowed to have a personal, just a normal conversation with your friends and family, or no?
I see that's where it comes down to educating these athletes and letting them know, that's not a good idea to talk about stuff like that, even to your family member, because, you talk about it to your brother goes out to the bar that night and says, hey, John's got an issue with his knee. I don't know if he's going to be able to play. Somebody's taking that information and placing a bet on it because it's something of value. So I think you just have to be careful who you're hanging out with, who you're talking to, and these athletes need to be educated and pressed to know, you start doing things like that, it could end up down the wrong road.
Tim, let me ask you this. Thanks for coming back on real quick. Why did the FBI make this such a huge statement? Like, we got the Epstein files out there that nobody still haven't fucking seen. We got all these other things going on. They seem to make this a point and emphasis for out of nowhere. And I'm trying to figure out why all of a sudden you going through this before, is this such a big deal? If it's been not a big deal for this long, since your case, basically, now it's a big deal again. And the FBI is now coming out, Clash Patel and all these people. Like, why this all of a sudden, do you think?
I think the FBI likes, a lot of attention, to be honest with you. I think these FBI agents love being on TV, love to be a part of these high profile cases. It builds them a resume for when they have to retire at 56 or 58, whatever it is. And they can go out and say, I was a part of, the gambling scandal in 2008. And I think that they just like the attention, and, it's something that is going to garner, global attention when you have a gambling scandal like this, based on the NBA being involved, based on big name players being involved. And, like I said, this is the tip of the iceberg. There's going to be a lot more people, because when these guys sit down with the FBI and they tell them, you're looking at, 20 years in jail, you're not going to want to sit in jail for 20 years when you have a family at home. So they're going to cooperate, and it's going to be a lot more bigger names that you're going to find that are involved in this.
So it sounds like there's some NBA players who are sitting in those rooms eating double cheeseburgers, French fries, steaks, and they're just telling basically what you're saying. So, I mean, I guess we're going to just see what happens, man. It's a lot going on, JB.
Hey, Tim, it's funny though that, like, I respect you. You did it. You learned. You said, all right, I'm going to educate myself. I learned it. Like, we're seeing these things now with Snoop Dogg and all these other people come out. And I appreciated what Shaq said yesterday on now they're on ESPN with that crew with Barkley and them. But he's like, I've known both of these guys. I played with Damon. I've known Chauncey for 30 years. And Shaq was like, I'm disappointed as shit. He goes, at what point is enough? Like, Snoop made hundreds of millions. I think he's worth 900 million, if I'm not mistaken. And he buys into this LGBTQ thing after he just came out and said, I don't like you grooming my kids on Netflix and all these things. Now he goes and gets a whole LGBTQ brand now. Like, when is enough? I guess is the money. I guess the greed never stops, huh?
Yeah, definitely the greed never stops. It's just a situation where, just like drugs and alcohol, people get a high from the gambling. And unfortunately, some of these guys could have been addicted to gambling. And my girlfriend made a great comment. Sometimes the rules don't apply to people with power and money. You just think that you're going to continue to get away from it, and unfortunately, you don't. And you end up getting caught. And these guys got caught, and they're going to sit down with these FBI agents, and this is going to go on for another year or two. This investigation is going to continue, and you're going to find things out that are going to put the NBA in a very embarrassing situation. And don't be surprised if it spills over to the NFL or Major League Baseball, because all these guys have the same type of personalities and likes, and everybody likes to gamble. I mean, I would say the majority of male adults like to gamble. If you're watching the NFL, you're very rarely you watching the NFL just to watch a game. People are putting money on it, and fantasy football or whatever. Gambling is a prevalent part of society.
Nah, no doubt. Right. And last night, 10-2 overtime games. I'm watching the last two games, like they're fighting like crazy. I'm like, it's funny how this all played out. 2 games last night go to double overtime, triple overtime. It's like, were they playing that hard before? What's going on here? All this shit happened. It's fun. It's real ironic. But Tim, I can't thank you for hopping on here again with us, man. And thanks again for answering, man. And appreciate you, brother.
You got it, guys. Have a great day.
All right, you too, Tim.